So as promised, today we're discussing part 3 of the property series. And what are we talking about? We're talking about buying an immovable property from an auction. Now we all know it's probably cheaper to buy property out of an auction. And I'll tell you just now why it is so. But even though it's cheaper, there's a couple of things that I want you to look out for when you're actually going to buy an immovable property. And also things that we also take into account so that you ensure that you get that particular bargain that you're looking for. So let's get into the conversation. But before we do so, to all of those that are new to the channel, my name is Yolanda Mnyengeza and I'm an attorney and a director at Mnyengeza Attorneys. So let's talk about buying property at an auction. What's the process? So literally the first thing that you want to do after you've seen this property, check out, number one, which bank is actually selling this property. And number two, what are the terms and conditions surrounding this property? Because the terms and conditions, unlike your normal property, purchasing, this kind of purchase, you don't have the opportunity to negotiate the terms and conditions that are going to go into this contract. So they come predetermined. So as soon as you get to the auction, if you're buying this property, you're just going to have to sign. So it's quite useful to read these before you actually decide that you're going to buy a property that has been listed. Okay, so what are the ideal things that we often look at in this particular terms and conditions? It's things like the cost implications. What are you going to be responsible for? The property. What's the situation with it? Particularly, majority of the time, we're looking at what the financial implications are going to be, because literally you want a bargain. So you want to make sure you're also getting a bargain on paper, because don't forget, the property you're buying on auction comes footstoots. What is footstoots? It means that it comes as is. You cannot in the future say, I noticed that there's damage and in actual fact I want my money back, or I want the bank to come and fix this. That's not how it works with properties on auction. You buy it as is. So whatever damage that's there, it's your responsibility. So you need to check out each and every detail there. So it's quite useful. Once you've actually requested these terms and conditions, give them to your attorney to have a look at them so that they can actually help decipher or decide whether or not this is a good bargain or this is a bargain, so to speak. Literally, the second thing that you want to do is to actually have a look at the property. If it's possible, try to have a look at it inside, so that you can see what it actually looks like. If they have pictures, be very careful of the kind of pictures you're looking at, because if they have pictures that are only showing the outside, be very concerned. Why? Because number one, it means that probably the inside is damaged, or number two, they actually don't have access to that property because there's people living there and they're probably, at the time they were shooting the property, were not there, and so they don't have access to that property. So those are the things that you need to take into account. And also, once you've looked at the terms and conditions and you've decided, you want to buy this property, the terms and conditions are in order, now you have to register yourself so that you can go and bid in order to get this property. After you've already looked at it and looked at the pictures, and then you've decided, I'm going ahead with this purchase. Then you have to register yourself as a bidder, and then you have to pitch there on the day of the bidding. And then they're going to give you a number, obviously, because you don't bid with your name. Now, this is one thing I also want you to take into account as well. Remember I said look at the terms and conditions before actually going to the bidding or bidding for that particular property? You have to request these terms and conditions again on the day of the auction. Why? Because sometimes these terms and conditions tend to be amended at times. So you want to make sure that there aren't any changes. And if there's a possibility, have a look at them. If you can, send them or take a picture, send it to your attorney so that they can look at the terms and what the changes actually entail so that you know exactly what you're getting into. Because remember, once you have purchased this kind of property, it's yours. Everything that comes with it, you are going to be responsible for. You cannot say when everything is done and signed and sealed that you want out. Okay, so make sure you take these precautionary measures. So literally, the last thing that you want to do is to ensure that you've got enough money in order for you to make this purchase, or a deposit towards this purchase. Unfortunately, when it comes to auctioned property, particularly movable property, you have to furnish a deposit on the day that you bid for that property. And once you sign on the dotted line, you have to provide the deposit. And in addition to this, always, before getting to the auction, understand what the costs of the auctioneer will be. So who's an auctioneer? An auctioneer is the person that has the hammer. It's the person that actually tells you how much the property is at and who chooses whoever is the highest bidder. That person needs to be paid for, okay, for their services. So make sure that you're also aware of how much they need to be paid for, because it's going to come out of your own pocket. So all of these costs you need to be aware of. The terms and conditions around this you need to be aware of. So in case you need or want to buy a property on auction, do not hesitate to contact us, because we will take you through that process. Number one, we'll help you choose this property, and number two, we'll help you look at the terms and conditions, and the third thing, we'll help you look at the financial implications and how you can actually prepare for them, so that when you buy this property, it's actually the bargain that you were hoping for. Properties on auction are always a bargain, but always be careful of the terms and conditions. So let's see you next time when we talk about part 4 of the property series, where we talk about another process of purchasing property. Hope this will be useful to you or to someone else. And if it is useful to you, I'm sure it can be useful to someone else. Do not forget, download it, share it, like it, subscribe, because we're about to bring more content onto this platform. My name is Yolanda Mnyengeza, and I'm an attorney and a director at Mnyengeza Attorneys. We wish you well.